Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next hour. US and allies call for 21-day ceasefire across Israel-Lebanon border. Netanyahu leaves for New York to address the UN General Assembly. Joe Biden and Volodymyr Zelensky to meet at the White House as US actions to speed support to Ukraine set to be announced. Taiwan raises alarm about renewed military threats from what it calls unstable China. Japan sends warship through Taiwan Strait for the first time in history, Beijing irked. And Floridans prepare for arrival of Hurricane Helene. India's weather department issues alerts for 6 states for heavy rainfall in Mumbai. PM Modi's Pune visit cancelled due to heavy rains. Indian chess contingent holds freewheeling discussion with Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi, shares ideas on including AI in sports. Thank PM for his relentless support. The United States, France and other key allies are pushing for an immediate 21-day ceasefire along the volatile Israel-Lebanon border, also backing a truce in Gaza. This call to action follows intense United Nations discussions on Wednesday. As Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu prepares to address the UN General Assembly on Friday, he faces a critical test of diplomacy.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will have a rather busy schedule at the UNGA as world leaders scramble to get a peace deal done on the sidelines. The US, France and other key allies are urging an immediate 21-day ceasefire along the volatile Israel-Lebanon border following intense UN discussions. The ceasefire would apply to the Israel-Lebanon Blue Line, the demarcation line between Lebanon and Israel, and would allow the parties to negotiate towards a potential diplomatic resolution of the conflict. A senior Biden administration official said,
"We are gravely concerned by reports that hundreds of Lebanese civilians have died in recent days. We further mourn the deaths of 2 UNHCR staff. At the same time, and as we have repeatedly made clear, the Security Council cannot ignore the origins of this particular conflict between Israel and Hezbollah.
In recent days, we have worked with our American partners on a temporary ceasefire platform of 21 days to allow for negotiations. This platform will be made public very soon, and we are counting on both parties to accept it without delay in order to protect civilian populations and allow for diplomatic negotiations to begin."
Many world leaders have pressed for immediate ceasefire to ease tensions in West Asia.
The region is on the brink. We need an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Lebanese Hezbollah and the implementation of a political plan which allows Israeli and Lebanese civilians to return to their homes to live in peace and security.
Meanwhile, Israel signaled acceptance to diplomatic solutions but extended a stern warning about to deploy other options. At the same time, Israel has indicated that strikes in Lebanon would continue to prepare for a possible ground operation. Nations are now urging their citizens to get out of Lebanon. India has also urged its citizens to avoid any travel to Lebanon. Bureau Report, DD India.
So the Indian embassy in Beirut has asked Indians living in Lebanon to leave the country as soon as possible and further advised people to exercise extreme caution amid the escalating situation. The advisory of the Indian embassy on your screen. While Australia has also urged its citizens living in Lebanon to leave, flagging a risk that Beirut airport may close and the difficulty of evacuating large numbers will be difficult if the situation worsens. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said his government had made contingency plans that could include evacuations by sea. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is set to meet US President Joe Biden at the White House today. The meeting, being held amid intensifying global focus on Ukraine, comes as Zelensky prepares to unveil his ambitious victory plan in Ukraine's war with Russia. It's a critical moment as the world watches and Ukraine faces mounting pressure on the battlefield. A report.
US President Joe Biden has promised swift action to accelerate support for Ukraine. Biden was addressing world leaders, including Zelensky, on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly when he reaffirmed his administration's unwavering commitment to Kyiv.
We're committed to providing Ukraine with the resources it needs to build back stronger than it was before. You're not alone in this fight.
But Zelensky's visit isn't just about promises, it's about delivering on them. Zelensky is pushing hard for Western nations, especially the US, to double down on their support. On Wednesday, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced a fresh $375 million in military aid to Ukraine, including HIMARS rocket launchers, Javelin missiles, and light tactical vehicles. The Biden administration is also expected to notify Congress of plans for an additional $5.5 billion in military aid to be deployed over the coming months. The Ukrainian president is not only advocating for immediate military aid, but also laying out a vision for Ukraine's future, one that he believes could turn the tide of the war. At the UN earlier this week, Zelensky called for a just peace and urged global leaders to back his proposal to bring the conflict to an end. He insists that action, not just talks, is needed.
This war can't be calmed by talks. Action is needed.
But what exactly is Zelensky's victory plan? Though the details remain under wraps, sources say it's designed as a bridge to stop the war, with the ultimate goal of forcing Russia to the negotiating table. Harshita Oberoi, DD India.
Meanwhile, on the ground, Russia on Thursday fired 78 attack drones and 6 missiles over various regions across the country, damaging critical infrastructure. The attack was repelled by Kiev's military, during which its air defenses destroyed 66 drones and 4 missiles. Earlier, 1 woman was killed in a missile strike on southern Ukraine's Odessa, and another 8 people were wounded in a guided bomb attack on the southeastern city of Zaporozhye. Russia has regularly sent drones and missiles over Ukrainian towns and cities far behind the front line since invading its neighbor in February 2022. Now, with swiftly changing global landscape, which has thrown up new threats and risks for Russia, its president Vladimir Putin has warned Moscow could resort to nuclear weapons if it faced any form of attack. Addressing top officials at a Security Council meeting, Putin revealed proposed changes to Russia's nuclear doctrine, emphasizing a critical shift in policy. He stressed that Russia now reserves the right to use nuclear weapons in defense, not only of itself, but also of Belarus, even if attacked with conventional arms. Putin framed these revisions as a calculated response to the evolving military threats confronting Russia, signaling a stark escalation in the country's defense posture amid rising global tensions.
The updated version of the document proposes that aggression against Russia by a non-nuclear weapon state, but with the participation or support of a nuclear weapon state, should be regarded as a joint attack on the Russian Federation. The conditions for Russia's transition to the use of nuclear weapons are also clearly defined. We will consider such a possibility as soon as we receive reliable information about a massive launch of aerospace attack means and their crossing of our state border, meaning strategic or tactical aircraft, cruise missiles, drones, hypersonic missiles, and other aircraft.
On to the Asia Pacific. Taiwan continues to witness increased China's military activity and live fire drills around the island, saying Beijing presented a serious challenge to its neighbors. On Thursday, the Taiwanese Defense Ministry said it had detected a second day of large-scale Chinese military activities nearby, with 29 aircraft engaged in a joint combat readiness patrol with Chinese warships. And the day before, it warned of 43 Chinese military aircraft operating around the island nation. China, which claims democratic Taiwan as a part of its territory, sends warplanes, drones and naval vessels around the island nearly every day. Another annoyed Chinese neighbor, Japan, has sent its warship through the sensitive Taiwan Strait for the first time to assert its freedom of navigation. The Sazanami entered the strait from East China Sea on Wednesday morning, spending more than 10 hours sailing south to complete the passage. Reports say the passage was conducted with naval ships from Australia and New Zealand ahead of planned drills in the disputed South China Sea. The three ships' transit comes a week after the Chinese aircraft carrier Liaoning sailed for the first time between the two Japanese islands near Taiwan. The Chinese military on Thursday released images of an intercontinental ballistic missile it test-fired on Wednesday morning. The first missile launch in over 40 years was conducted by the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, which carried a dummy warhead and fell into expected sea areas. Beijing says it gave notice to relevant countries, but Japan says it had not received a warning and expressed concerns. The launch contributes to tensions across the Indo-Pacific region, with analysts saying that it highlights China's increased long-range nuclear capabilities. The United States had warned last year that China has built up its nuclear arsenal as part of a defense upgrade. You're with us on DD India News Hour, still to come on the show. US Vice Presidential TV debate between Republican J.D. Vance and Democrat Tim Walz due next week in New York. Hurricane John tails back to Mexico's Pacific coast, leaves behind a trail of destruction. And New York Mayor Eric Adams indicted on federal corruption charges after probe.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. After former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris took the debate stage this month, their running mates are also preparing to do the same next week in New York. What can we expect? Take a look in our next report.
The next high-voltage engagement in the US presidential polls is when US Vice Presidential Republican candidate J.D. Vance and Democratic candidate Tim Walz will collide in a vice presidential debate next week. The VP square-off will give both men the opportunity to make persuasive closing arguments on behalf of their campaigns. At a campaign rally in Michigan, Vance said he wants to use the upcoming debate against Tim to show Americans how to make their lives better.
Well, look, I think the way I see the debate is very simple. It's an opportunity where for 90 minutes, Governor Walz and I are going to debate the issues that matter to the American people. And what I'm going to try to show is very simple, that the candidacy, the team of substance, the team that actually has a record that we're proud of instead of we're running away from, and the team that actually has a plan is the team of Trump-Vance. And that's what I'm going to try to do is, look,
Meanwhile, economic plans remain the high-point agenda for both the candidates. After Donald Trump revealed his economic revival points, Democratic nominee and U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris detailed her economic plan to boost the U.S. middle class.
I have pledged that building a strong middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. The third pillar of our opportunity economy is leading the world in the industries of the future and making sure America, not China, wins the competition for the 21st century. So I will recommit the nation to global leadership in the sectors that will define the next century. We will invest in biomanufacturing and aerospace, remain dominant in AI and quantum computing, blockchain and other emerging technologies, expand our lead in clean energy innovation and manufacturing.
On the other side, after he was briefed by U.S. intelligence on threats from Iran to assassinate him, Donald Trump issued a warning to the Asian nation.
As you know, there have been 2 assassination attempts on my life that we know of, and they may or may not involve, but possibly do, Iran. But we've been threatened very directly by Iran. And I think you have to let them know, because the best way to do it is through the office of the president, that you do any attacks on former presidents or candidates for president, your country gets blown to smithereens, as we say.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Congress passed a stopgap bill on Wednesday to avert a partial government shutdown next week, despite House Republicans' revolt against their leadership's failure to achieve new federal spending cuts. The bill now goes to President Joe Biden to sign into law before current funding expires at midnight Monday.
The world is reeling under extreme weather patterns. An increasingly powerful hurricane threatening catastrophic, dangerous storm surges and flooding was forecast to smash into Florida's Gulf Coast on Thursday as thousands of residents evacuated towns along the U.S. state's shoreline. A report.
Weatherman has worrying news for Florida residents. Hurricane Helene is strengthening and could hit Florida's Gulf Coast on Thursday as a Category 4 storm, producing catastrophic winds of up to 156 miles per hour. Helene entered the Gulf of Mexico on Wednesday and was expected to pick up strength from the Gulf's warm waters before making an expected landfall in Florida's Panhandle on Thursday evening. More than 40 million people in Florida, Georgia and Alabama were under hurricane and tropical storm warnings, signaling a likelihood of life-threatening inundation. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis expanded state of emergency to nearly all of Florida's 67 counties.
Of course, began preparing over the weekend. On Monday, I signed an executive order. We now have 61 of Florida's 67 counties that are in a state of emergency, and it's been able to help surge resources and help with preparations there.
Numerous evacuations are being ordered along Florida's Gulf Coast, and dozens of counties have announced school closures. Many residents are preparing for possible heavy flooding, while Georgia have also declared emergencies ahead of the storm and said that Helene will have a significant impact on Georgia.
I don't want to put fear in some folks' voice. We're all concerned about the impacts, but there's the potential of even mudslides that the National Hurricane Center has been discussing in our mountainous areas, just because the ground is going to be so saturated.
The White House has assured all assistance to Florida and other states in the path of the storm. Earlier, Hurricane Helene flooded Cancun, bringing ferocious winds and heavy rain.
Meanwhile, Hurricane John fell apart as quickly as it was formed, but left behind destruction along Mexico's southern Pacific coast. John first made landfall at major hurricane strength, triggering flooding and landslides that crushed homes while leaving at least 5 dead. The Miami-based Hurricane Center flagged the possibility that John could again become a hurricane before it strikes the coast. The center warned of likely catastrophic flash flooding and mudslides across 4 states along Mexico's Pacific coast. In India, Mumbai and various regions of Maharashtra were lashed by relentless rainfall, leading to significant traffic disruptions across the city. The intense rainfall led to severe waterlogging, affecting local train services and flight operations, while also triggering major traffic congestion. The Indian Met Department has issued a red alert warning for Mumbai, Maharashtra till Thursday. In the wake of the red alert issued by the Met Department, schools and colleges are closed in Mumbai, Pune, Thane, Palghar and other places for Thursday. Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation are constantly reviewing the situation and have advised people of the city to only step out of their homes if required. And for more on this, we have Shishir Shelar joining us from Mumbai. Hi Shishir, the IMD has issued a red alert for Mumbai and its adjoining districts for today. What's the situation right now?
Well, absolutely, Tanvi. The Mumbai, especially the Maharashtra and Konkan region, have received a very heavy rainfall yesterday. In just span of 5 hours between 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 7:30 or 8:30 till evening, the Mumbai received almost 200 millimeters of rainfall. As a result, we have seen that many low-lying areas have submerged in the water, resulting disruptions in normal life here. Well, the most important thing is that the local train services have disrupted yesterday, and we've seen that the local train services were halted for almost 2 hours because some of the local trains have been halted at between different stations, particularly in central Mumbai region, starting from the Ghatkopar to Kanjurmarg region. Well, because of the heavy rainfall, even the flights have also been diverted. Yesterday, we've got the news from the ATC also is that nearly 14 to 15 flights have been diverted from Mumbai to the nearby region here. Well, the Indian Meteorological Department yesterday have already issued a warning, a red alert to Mumbai and adjoining area, including Thane, Palghar district of Maharashtra. And even today also, most of these regions are going to have received the orange alert here. Well, the authority already swung into action. Yesterday, we have seen here that the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra have alerted people, have said that they should not come out of the houses if it is not required. But since morning, the normalcy has returned in Mumbai and adjoining areas. We have seen that the trains are running as per the schedule. Even the vehicular movement is also running quite smoothly here. But yesterday's disruption have actually halted the Mumbai for a few hours.
Okay, thank you. Shishir Shelar reporting from Mumbai. While in Thailand, severe and prolonged flooding continues to disrupt normal life, prompting calls for long-term solutions, including measures to mitigate the long-term impact of climate change. Residents have been moving their belongings to higher ground and are avoiding flooded routes as advised. High water levels were seen in the Nasyong sub-district of Koka district, where people remain inside due to worries about their homes and belongings. The floods were exacerbated by Typhoon Yagi, which rampaged through Thailand and other Southeast Asian countries in mid-September. The Asian country suffers from an annual monsoon season from July to October. Although floods are common nationwide, authorities say this year has been the worst in decades. In Berlin, Germany, authorities in Brandenburg in eastern part continue to prepare flood defenses and plans to evacuate affected areas if necessary. Authorities have put highest warning level on a 4-state scale for a segment of the Oder River along the German-Polish border, where rising water levels have already breached banks in some rural areas. This follows significant flooding seen in Central Europe last week. On Monday, the European Commission proposed to allocate 1,197 million euros from the agricultural reserve to directly support farmers from Bulgaria, Germany, Estonia, Italy and Romania. while the German environmental group is also advocating for a special insurance program to protect agricultural businesses. And DW's Lars Holter joins me from Berlin now on the story. Lars, what can you tell us about this initiative of the government?
Thanks for having me. Well, this idea is interesting, not last due to the fact that it's coming from NABU. That's one of the largest German environmental groups. They're an activist group that has in the past stopped entire infrastructure projects, roads, airports, wind parks, to protect some critters that might have made a home wherever a new project was planned. And they're generally not big friends of the agricultural sector because they see today's farmers as at least partially responsible for the problems we're having with climate change. But that's exactly why they're advocating for a new catastrophic insurance program to protect farmers against extreme weather events. They're just tying it to some demands. Most importantly, that farmers do their part to mitigate climate change, that they're making a bigger effort to slow climate change and minimize the problems we're actually dealing with. And that, of course, includes flood events as well as droughts, both the kind of weather events that can easily ruin an entire year's harvest. And with regards to flood, in a very short time, just this year, we've had hundreds of farmers whose fields had flooded and who had to write off their entire harvest of mostly wheat, corn, potatoes, but also salad and vegetables.
Lars, in your view, what can farmers do to better protect themselves from these extreme weather patterns?
Oh, there's a ton of ways farmers can contribute to a healthier climate. The NABU experts are pointing towards a few major points that would include raising fewer animals, that's mostly cattle, of course, but also pigs, and to a much smaller extent chicken, because meat production comes with enormous methane emissions, and they are known to be one of the major drivers of climate change, right on par with CO2 emissions. Then there's the use of fertilizers that should be given some thought. And there's also monocultures that environmentalists have long said need to be reduced and exchanged for more traditional farming methods like a crop rotation that would strengthen the soil, help prevent plant diseases, and also create a more diverse environment for insects, which again are hugely beneficial to agriculture itself. So there's lots of ideas, and the group says that if farmers make a better effort to follow some more environmentally friendly concepts, then they should certainly be better protected against all the other risks their business comes with.
Thank you, Lars. Lars Holter reporting from DW Berlin. Now we take a look at what else is making news around the world. New York Mayor Eric Adams is due to appear in court on Thursday after he was indicted on charges of federal crimes while in office. A federal corruption investigation is already ongoing against him. Adams has denied the charges and demanded immediate trial. Mexico City's landmark monument to the revolution in the Plaza de la República was illuminated with the names of the 43 students from a rural school on the eve of the 10-year anniversary of their disappearance. The missing students are suspected to be massacred as their whereabouts are still unknown. Still to come on DD India News Hour. India's President Draupadi Murmu visits Siachen base camp in Ladakh, interacts with troops posted there. Annual Farmer Summit marks the 10-year milestone of Make in India, celebrating its success in pharmaceuticals with 50 new plants and 50 plants more planned. Western Indian state of Gujarat gears up for the Garba dance spectacle to welcome Goddess Durga ahead of the Navratri season.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I am Tanvi Taneja. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar stressed the need for economic democratization, enhanced mobility, skill development and connectivity expansion to achieve the UN's Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) during his ongoing US visit. Dr. Jaishankar joined foreign ministers from Latvia and Guyana at the Observer Research Foundation's discussion. This discussion was titled Tiger's Tail, Crafting a New Development Paradigm. The event aimed to explore innovative strategies for global growth. India's Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal held a very productive visit to Australia. This was aimed to further strengthen bilateral trade and investment ties in several priority sectors and open new areas of cooperation. During the visit, work in holiday visa, a key commitment under India-Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement, will be operational from 1st of October this year. This will facilitate mobility and deepen people-to-people ties between India and Australia. Minister Goyal also stressed the vast potential for collaboration in areas such as education, skill development, tourism, critical minerals and sustainability. He added that the focus was on strengthening trade ties to achieve the shared goal of $100 billion in bilateral trade by 2030. India's President Draupadi Murmu visited Siachen base camp in Ladakh today. The President interacted with troops posted there. President Murmu is the country's third president to visit Siachen, the world's highest battlefield ground. Former Presidents APJ Abdul Kalam, Ramnath Kovind have also visited the base camp in Ladakh in the past.
करने के बाद रीत बेरर
India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar graced the 83rd Foundation Day celebrations of the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research in New Delhi. Vice President Dhankar formally launched the CSIR Thematic Exhibition 2024. This exhibition showcases CSIR's groundbreaking research and innovations, highlighting India's scientific and technological advancements. India's pharmaceutical sector is on an impressive trajectory. The pharma sector is expected to reach $65 billion by 2024 and anticipated to double its value to $130 billion by 2030. Now, India looks to position itself as the pharmaceutical innovation hub, offering high-tech solutions and global compliance standards. So what's the way forward for the pharma sector of India? DD India's Anil Thomas reports.
India is no longer the pharmacy of the world, but is emerging as the hub of innovation in pharmaceuticals. This has been possible through delivering affordable, quality-assured medicines and addressing the unmet needs of patients worldwide. With pharmaceutical exports to over 180 countries, India is now the capital of generic medicines in the world.
Drugs and pharma and meditech is the fourth largest merchandise export from India. 9 out of top 25 generic firms are located in India. And going forward, our contribution to the humankind will increase.
Indian pharmaceutical industry has achieved high growth rate, largely in terms of volumes, during the last 2 decades and has seen a strong footprint globally in generic segment and is the third largest in terms of volume and 13th largest in terms of value. A report on the future of pharma industry was also released in the annual Pharma Awards.
The AI-related drug discovery market in India has grown
at a pace of around 39% CAGR, and it was in 2021 around 13.8 billion, and is likely to reach about 310 by 2031. From just being a medical tourism hub and a producer of few affordable medicines, we will soon see India becoming the pharmaceutical innovation hub of the world.
ASSOCHAM Pharma Excellence Award for 2023-24 were given across various categories. Mankind bagged the Pharma Company of the Year, while Martin & Harris bagged the Excellence in Supply Chain Logistics and Good Distribution Practices.
Importance of it has been felt because in pharma industry, as the PM has been always stressing on Gati Shakti, that's the new project the PM and government has launched. It enforces the importance of supply chain and distribution in this country, and because no sale is complete unless and until the goods reach to the last end, and COVID has taught us this lesson.
As Indian pharmaceutical companies shift from traditional generic manufacturing to pioneering novel drugs and high-tech solutions, the sector is not only enhancing its global presence but also contributing significantly to improving patient outcomes worldwide. Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
Next, we take a look at what else is making news in India. Tirupati Tirumala Devasthanam lodged a police complaint against AR Dairy Foods Private Limited for supplying adulterated ghee to the temple trust. After a sample test, it was confirmed that the ghee contained lard, beef tallow, fish oil and palm oil, which affected the sanctity of the prasadam. The second phase of J&K assembly polls witnessed a turnout of 57.03% on Wednesday. Polling was conducted across 6 districts of Budgam, Ganderbal, Poonch and Jammu regions of Rajouri, Riyasi and Srinagar. A delegation of diplomats from 15 foreign nations visited different parts of Kashmir to get a taste of India's free and fair democracy in action. India's Union Minister of Steel and Heavy Industries H.D. Kumaraswamy planted a sapling under a campaign in Delhi on Thursday. The campaign is called Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam, a tree in tribute to the mother. This aims to create a lasting memory which will not only protect the nature but also contribute to building a greener and more prosperous future. Now, with the much-awaited Hindu festival of Navratri approaching closer, devotees all over the country are making preparations with excitement, especially the youth of Gujarat. The state is famous for its Garba dance. The Garba dance is inscribed as the intangible cultural heritage by UNESCO in 2023. Garba is performed in a particular set of traditional attire and performed with dandiya sticks, as you see on your screen. Still to come on DD India News. German companies plan to increase their investments in India as they remain optimistic about the growth forecast. Meta unveils augmented reality glasses prototype called Orion during its annual Connect conference at its California headquarters. And world's first 3D printed hotel takes shape in Texas.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
don multiple hats in the Indian sports bodies and the international sports bodies.
It's for India is very, very important for us, and it's not only to me but for the country.
They act as a catalyst to put yoga on a different level.
It's a pet project as far as the Prime Minister is concerned. He himself is very keen on yoga and is always there promoting yoga.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. News from the world of business now. Indian benchmark equity indices BSE Sensex and Nifty 50 extended their leads from the record high levels they hit in early trades on Thursday after starting the trading session nearly flat. At 1 p.m. Local time, the BSE Sensex was at 85,448, higher by 278 points, while Nifty 50 was at 26,091, up 87 points. The Nifty Mid-Cap 100 and Nifty Small-Cap 100 indices were trading in the red at open. The BSE Sensex and Nifty 50 had reversed early losses on Wednesday to close at record high levels. Meanwhile, markets in the Asia-Pacific region rebounded on Thursday morning, with the Chinese markets expected to continue their upward momentum. Global stock indices mostly eased on Wednesday, along with energy shares. US Treasury yields rose as investors stuck to the view that the US Federal Reserve will be able to create a soft landing for the US economy. On Wall Street, the Dow and the S&P 500 ended lower after hitting record highs in early trades, while Nasdaq was flat at close. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.7%. As German companies continue to remain optimistic about the growth forecast in India, DD India's Jessica Taneja caught up with the German ambassador to India, Dr. Philipp Ackermann, to talk about the different sectors that could see more investment in the future.
We have with us Dr. Philipp Ackermann. He is a German ambassador to India. Thank you for speaking to DD India again, Ambassador. Interesting conversation happening around the German business investing in India. There have been reports in the past as well that we could see an increase in investment along with more companies coming to India. Tell us more about that and how are we seeing this moving forward?
There was an interesting outcome of a study a big accountant firm, KPMG, has made within the German business here in India, and the result is quite stunning. More than 80% of the German businesses here seem to be so happy that they expect more profit in the years to come. The same amount roughly wants to reinvest the money in India, and what we feel in the embassy is also more interest from German business coming to India in the years to come. So I think that our trade volume will rise in the next years. It's already quite high with $33 billion, but it will rise in the next years, and so will investment from the German side.
Right, and our main sectors of cooperation have been automobiles, automotive parts, chemicals as well. We're looking to expand that now into renewable energy sector, to which extent a summit was also held in Gujarat,
Right.
Reinvest Summit.
Right.
Tell us about the significance of the expansion of the other sectors that we're seeing right now.
So I would say that, the whole question of climate change is very high on the agenda, the bilateral agenda. That's government to government, but also business to business. And you'll find a lot of German companies who are invested in this renewable energy business here in India. You'll find a lot of them on, top level like Siemens, but also small and medium-sized enterprises are here. They see India as a very creative environment to find new solutions when it comes to renewables. And we have some very interesting firms, some interesting businesses here who are, involved in very progressive and very modern way of making energy out of non-fossil fuels, and that's very good. And I think we'll see more of that. And you refer to the RE Invest summit or fair in Gujarat, where our Minister for Cooperation and Development came, met the Prime Minister, and we created a platform between German and Indian businesses to exchange notes, to exchange knowledge on how to invest better in India, in Germany, but also in the rest of the world.
Facebook owner Meta Platforms showed off its first working prototype of augmented reality glasses called Orion during its annual Connect conference at its California headquarters on Wednesday. The Orion glasses are made of magnesium alloy and powered by custom silicon designed by Meta. Users will be able to interact with the glasses through hand tracking voice and wrist-based neutral interface. Mark Zuckerberg called Orion a Dev Kit and said Meta planned to work on making it smaller, sleeker and more low cost for consumers later on. The platform also showcased updates to its existing virtual reality and artificial intelligence AI products. You're watching DD India News Hour, updates from the world of sports now, and to give us the latest from the fields of sports, we have Deepika Mehto with us. Deepika.
Thanks and good afternoon, Tanvi. First, let's talk about the interaction that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had with the chess players today, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosted India's chess contingent at his residence in New Delhi. During the freewheeling discussion, many ideas and key moments were also exchanged. Players shared light-hearted moments with the Prime Minister along with old memories. Here's the report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosted India's 45th Chess Olympiad's gold medal-winning Indian contingent at his residence in New Delhi. During the interaction, the Indian chess players exchanged their memories and key moments with the Prime Minister. At the freewheeling interaction, the players said that they were elated to hear that Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated them during the New York diaspora event, where the reverberations were heard across international borders.
हम लोग बस में से आ रहे थे और आपका स्पीच हम लोग लाइव देख रहे थे और आपने वहाँ पे अनाउंस कर दिया वर्ल्ड में कि भारत ने ये ऐतिहासिक 2 गोल्ड मेडल जीते और हम सब लोग उस टाइम साथ में बस थे. हमें इतनी खुशी हुई सबको.
Indian women chess players Harika Dronawali and Tanya Sachdev both thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for continuously uplifting their morale before and after the event.
मैंने हमेशा देखा है कि आप हर स्पोर्ट और हर स्पोर्ट पर्सन को इतना इनकरेज करते हैं और इतना सपोर्ट करते हैं. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि आपका स्पोर्ट्स से बहुत बड़ा लगाव है.
आई थिंक हमें ही नहीं ये इतना इम्पोर्टेंट है, बाकी चेस जो खेलते हैं अभी उनके लिए भी बहुत ज़्यादा इंस्पिरेशन हो गए कि
Talking on the importance of sports development for the country, Prime Minister said it is not only about economical figures that run a country, but sports also stands as an important pillar in a nation's economy.
खेल में भी मैक्सिमम गोल हमारे बच्चे कैसे लाएं, ये जब होता है इतने सारे वर्टिकल, तब देश महान बनता है.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared the memories of chess event organized by him 2 decades ago in Gujarat, where Indian chess player Vantika also participated as a young chess player.
फिर आपने जब इतना मुझे एनकरेज किया ये तो मैं इतना खुश हो गई थी कि मैंने कहा अब तो मुझे पूरी जान लगा देनी है चेस में.
During the interaction with the Prime Minister, all the players shared valuable moments and key ideas as well on how to improve the game, keeping technology in mind.
With AI, the chess has evolved. There has been new technology, and the computers have become much stronger now. And it is showing a lot of new ideas in chess, and we are still learning from it. And I think there is a lot to learn from it.
Sir, I think अभी ऐसा हो गया है कि AI के tools सबको अवेलेबल हो गए क्योंकि डेमोक्रेटाइज हो गया है और अभी हम जरूर प्रिपरेशन में यूज करते हैं.
India came back from Budapest registering a glorious performance, bagging multiple gold medals at 45th Chess Olympiad. With this achievement, India is witnessing a new era in the world of chess, with many more milestones in the pipeline for the country. Sports Desk, DD India.
On to cricket now. Indian men's cricket team is gearing up for a clean sweep against Bangladesh when they face them in the second and final test, which is to be played at Kanpur from 27th September. India will want their big guns, Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, to fire and score big. The all-round performance of Ravichandran Ashwin, Shubman Gill's sublime century, Ravindra Jadeja's quality batting and Rishabh Pant's roaring comeback allowed India to script a comfortable victory in Chennai by 280 runs. On the other hand, Bangladesh, who failed to apply themselves with the bat in the series opener, are now expected to make changes to their playing 11. They struggled against high-quality Indian pace attack in their first innings in Chennai and then could not handle Ashwin and company while chasing an improbable target. In soccer, Real Madrid confirmed its forward Kylian Mbappe has suffered a muscle injury, casting doubt over his participation in this weekend's derby against Atletico Madrid. Mbappe was signed from Paris Saint-Germain this year only and has been in fine form this season, scoring 7 goals for Real in 9 matches across all competitions. The 25-year-old was substituted in the 80th minute of the home victory over Deportivo Alaves in La Liga on Tuesday and gestured to his thigh while leaving the pitch. Real second in La Liga standings on 17 points, one behind Barcelona, who have a game in hand. Real will play second bottom Getafe later next week on Wednesday. Those were the top highlights of the hour from the world of sports. Back to you, Tanvi.
Thank you, Deepika Mehta, giving us all the sporting action. And now our closing story of the bulletin. The changing nature of the construction business is unfolding in a tiny piece of land in the West Texas desert. It will soon have the first 3D printed hotel of the world. An industrial-sized 3D printer is extruding layer after layer of a concrete mixture to form the walls of the hotel's first 2 model units in Marfa, Texas. Details in our next report.
3D printing technology and the hospitality industry are converging in a West Texas desert to build world's first 3D printed hotel. An industrial-sized 3D printer is extruding layer after layer of a concrete mixture to form the walls of the hotel's first 2 model units.
I've never been able to build with such little constraint and such fluidity. And just the curves and the domes and the parabolas, it's a crazy way to build.
The 3D printed buildings will eventually incorporate domes, arches, vaults and parabolic walls, architectural features that would normally be too expensive to replicate on a large scale with traditional construction. The ink of this 3D printer is a special cement-based material called lavacrete and is a closely guarded secret.
And then sort of the magic happens in the admixtures that allow us to continue printing. This printer has now been running for something like 36 hours straight, and it allows us to print, overnight.
Experts, however, caution that the automation of 3D printed construction could displace skilled laborers like masons.
From the social point of view and the effect in the economy in terms of the local jobs, especially in remote areas, that will be one of the challenges that we need to consider when we're going to the 3D printing method.
In addition to this hotel venture, the firm is working with NASA to develop 3D printing systems to build structures on the moon. Bureau Report, DD India.
So will the 3D printing technology revolutionize the construction sector remains to be seen. With that, we end up this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles. And for those on the go, you can catch all the latest news and updates on our DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. So at DD India Live, that's our handle on Insta, Facebook, X. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from my entire team here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.